What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jobbers and Goons, and today this video is actually sponsored by my second channel. This channel, Coffee Shop Comics, where I feature the members of the coffee shop sometimes, as well as the co-owner of the channel, my boy Don. This channel kind of is starting to focus on a lot of narrative and explanation videos. And this would include complete coverages of comic book runs and important / iconic comic book runs. So this is a shout out to that new series I started, which featured the first episode being Immortal Hulk. Covered the first 5 issues of Immortal Hulk, and I will finish that run. I'm going to do several runs at a time to spice up the selection on the channel. And I would really love if you guys go check it out and support, as well as this video, which is kind of a sample of what I'm doing over there. This will be in that playlist as well, which will take you to the channel. So I hope you guys check it out. Thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed already, that would be amazing, as we do content like jobber videos, goon videos over here, explanation videos, all that. Well, almost to 20K as well, and it'd be amazing if you hop on the ride. But anyways, get this to 300 likes just in general to show support, and I will continue dropping fire content. Now, the sample we're doing today is Thanos Death Notes. Now, smash the like button if you're a Thanos fan, because in my opinion, I'm not the biggest Thanos guy, but I will say this run 100% piqued my interest, and it's something you should definitely check out. But getting into this, Thanos Death Notes is supposed to be an exploration of what Thanos is. Marvel is currently launching a saga on the legacy of Thanos, basically. So it's gonna hopefully be pretty good. And this comic, by the way, I thoroughly enjoyed. Join my server if you want a link to it, if you haven't read it already, because it's worth the read. But anyways, getting back to this. The reason this is taking place is because when Thor fought the Black Winter way back in the day, a few years ago, Thor bore witness to a vision of his future, which showed him ending at the hands of Thanos, because Thanos was portrayed to him as the end of all things and the end of Thor truly. So this is pretty crazy in implication, because, and by the way, it's a highlight of my series over there on Coffee Shop Comics, just a perfect advertisement right here. I also power scale while I explain the story. So you're getting like all your favorite aspects of comic book / fiction exploration and examinations on YouTube. Like I'm the whole thing. So definitely check it out. It's an amazing run I'm starting. But anyways, getting back to this. This would potentially put this Thanos, which we will call Final Thanos. We'll call him that, because I don't know. He doesn't really have a name yet. So the implication is, given that he would end Thor just completely, when things like Rune King Thor's story didn't end him, Black Winter didn't end him, all these things failed to end his story. But this would, it would potentially scale above all things Thor has faced throughout his history, which could potentially include like the ones above in Shadows level threats, which is High Outer. So Thanos already, if he's like threatening to genuinely end Thor, which you could count towards his narrative ending, that's pretty fucking crazy. Like, this is, I'm gonna just put it out there right now, this is shaping up to potentially be the strongest Thanos we've ever seen. Now, did I just stutter right there? F in the chat. But Thor, like later in this story, is searching for how Thanos could possibly achieve so much power. Like, how could Thanos have reached such a level that he could even truly end Thor. So he's consulting the lands of the dead, basically. He runs into Death itself. Death is like, yo, what are you doing, Thor? Like, why are you on my block? And Thor's like, I'm going to be real. I saw some shit about your boy I didn't like. I'm here to find some facts in history on him. So this is where, and it gets pretty interesting right here. You see Thor go into a shack to where apparently Thor's father had shacked up and was writing and compiling the history of Thanos throughout the multiverse. And Thanos himself was writing death notes to his father. He was like, I know you peep all the shit I've done. Here's some notes for the boy. So he furthers upon in these notes, right? And Thanos is like, it's crazy, Dad. Like, I know you went around. You heard all these wild stories about me. You heard all these myths, these legends. I'm a god. I'm a killer. I'm the bringer of death. I'm chaos. I'm everything. And he was like, you heard all these things. And I wonder at which point you realized that everything you heard, everything you believed, everything you thought about me, every idea of Thanos, it's truth. So he's basically saying, and it definitely gets further extrapolated upon later in the story, but basically implying everything ever said about him is true, which is crazy, especially if people consider him God. Like, that's wild scaling. But we'll see why that matters in a little bit. So this story, at this point, takes a turn, dives back into an old Tony Stark encounter. That's right. This is the first time Iron Man met anything associated with Thanos. He had heard stories of Thanos, some of the mysteries. He was contacted by some, to him, quote, guy named Drax the Destroyer. And he was implored to go after this Thanos. Eventually, he obtains what appears to be a partially destroyed Thanos bot. As in, it's a Thanos bot with a partially destroyed head. But the problem for Stark here is he can't figure out this tech, like, to any degree. He spent several hours on it. Keep in mind, this is the same dude that could make tech to fight the Phoenix Force. But he couldn't, understand or fathom how this Thanos tech works. This bot then comes to life and is like, yo, Stark, before you do anything, I think we need to talk. And Stark's like, yo, what the fuck? And so Stark puts his hand up, right? He's like, I'm finna melt this bitch. I've heard stories about Thanos. Like, I'm not doing this. This is where things take a crazy turn, okay? And you're going to have to stick with me here, as at one point I'm going to have to explain what it looks like the author based this off of, okay? So Stark's threatening the bot, and the bot goes, yo, if you touch me, if you burn me, first of all, this is a facsimile. Like, this is just mere aspect of my true form, Thanos. And Stark's like, dude, what the fuck? You mean you're just a robot? He's like, no, it's much worse than that. He's like, if you touch me, if you burn me, if you shoot me right now, you and everyone you love will suffer endless agonies. Thanos, through the bot, after being questioned by Stark with this weird threat, goes, you need to understand, I already won. Like, there was a battle at one point, at some point, doesn't matter when, doesn't matter where, just matters that it happened. At some point, Thanos won. And when he won, he recreated everything to be in his image. That is, all things and everything witnessed and seen currently are just merely footprints of past memories, and they are things Thanos wills to be simulated, which is a fucking wild insinuation right there. Like he's saying, yeah, Thanos wins at some point and becomes so powerful that he rewrites everything in Marvel, rewrites existence itself, and simulates it to what he wants to see. That's fucking crazy in implication. And at this point, Stark's like, what the fuck? Like, these implications are weird as shit. And that's when the Thanos bot mind hacks Tony Stark and shows him the future. This future displays a Thanos sitting with I kind of think it looks like a Trigon-esque crown. Y'all let me know in the comment section if you agree. That's kind of what it looks like. But it shows the Thanos above all things, right? And all things must appease his simulation. And if they dare moved against his ideas, his will as it manifests in the simulation, they ended up, and everyone they loved, tortured for endless, infinite agonies. As you see characters like Bullseye, Punisher, Scarlet Witch, Black Bolt, like they're all being endlessly tortured. And this kind of touches on something, and several people called the author out for it and were like, yo, this was a dope philosophical shout out. Basically, on one of those big brain moments in forums, someone brought up an idea. They were like, yo, what if like there was an AI in the future that became so powerful, its mind so vast, and it was so malevolent that it would rewrite everything as a simulation. Life, death, all things, all concepts we know as humans, rewritten in a simulation. If you have two choices, you either help or try to help to further the advancement of this machine once in the future taking place, somehow, some way, or you resist and you and everyone you love end up going through endless, painful tortures and agonies via the simulation because you tried to resist. So that's called Roko's Basilisk. If you guys want to go read up on it, I will link a story on it in the probably in the comment section for anyone interested. But it was such a mind fuck for people on that forum. A bunch of futurists and stuff share the site. They were like, the implication of such a vast conscious or mind and such a simple yet insane demonstration of power from it, it's just something we should never try to fathom. Because in theory, if it were to exist, even thinking about it would bring it forth, and thus would put you under these. You have to make that choice at that point because you thought about it. So everybody that watched this video thought about it. Think about that. That's what mind fucked the smart people. So anyways, getting back to this story, thank you guys for enjoying that tangent, because I really had to, just to kind of give the implication of what this Thanos means as the supreme god. Yeah, like basically he goes, Iron Man, think about it. Like, you're a man of science. You run calculations all the time. Think about everything I said. Think about all my answers. Think about it. And Stark's like, well, you're telling me if I burn this bot, me and everyone I love burns? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, but if you're some supreme god, why does this bot matter? He said, it's not the robot, it's the principle. It means at one point you win against the simulation, which I will not allow. So Iron Man thinks about it. He's like, is Thanos chaos? Is he death? Is he war? Is he this? Is he that? And eventually he's like, does it matter? And he realizes that upon this exploration of the concept of Thanos and whatnot, he concedes to himself and realizes that it is indeed possible Thanos had become God at some point. He had become this supreme intelligence, this supreme being who had completely rewritten all of time and space to be what he wants simulated. So, Stark simply didn't kill the robot. He deemed it possible Thanos was telling the truth, and it could have happened. And he decided to bury that memory with himself, as in, like, take it to his grave, because the idea of such a high form of Thanos, which narratively should be the strongest Thanos we've ever seen, because he literally rewrites all things and concepts, reshapes it. He would be like a supreme god, maybe not Toa level, but definitely he'd be able to like possibly rewrite the House of Ideas and such. But anyways, it's implied as we see this story kind of jumps around. And smash the like button, by the way, if you haven't already. And make sure, again, to go check out the first episode of Immortal Hulk on this sponsor's video, my second channel, Coffee Shop Comics. But getting back to this, when he's talking to Death, she's asking him for like further details about his life, including like if he ever had a love before death. And it's kind of implied right there. And that Thanos is essentially beyond and has aspects to his character that are beyond even the view of death itself. So he kind of opens up and allows Death to see some memories of his. These memories are basically visiting the memories of his first love, who showed him what love was. He had never felt that. Like growing up, how he did as a Titan that looked like a demon, you know, deviant. They rejected him. He was shunned. And his love did not reject it. And when their ship got hit from the haters, there was a big chance that Thanos would die, right? Like, the crash was terrible. And they needed breathing / oxygen to maintain. Well, she took her mask, gave it to Thanos, and told him to live for her, right? Like, live for her. She loved him. She knows no one else had loved him, but he had a chance to do amazing things as he was. So she was like, live for me, and I'm going to take this L. Big W for her, right? And Thanos visits this memory, and then he kind of looks at Death, and he's like, okay, like, why do you want me to revisit that memory? And she was like, Thanos, you got to understand your purpose. It's a lot bigger than you think it is. Like, in fact, she was mentioning there was potentially a crisis / an event coming that would threaten existence itself. And she calls upon Thanos, you know. And she goes, there's bigger things than you imagine that your power is for. And there's things that need to be done from you. And he's like, well, you know, if I'm living for her and stuff, that's not in death. Like, to you. You know, that'd be kind of invoking a different property. And she was like, you can love both life and death. So, at this point, Thanos is being subjected to, like, this destabilization of beliefs, right? It went from complete worship of death to now he's told he can also work for life itself. So he's supposed to be this, like, balance of life and death, which is weird, right? Like, Thanos is immediately subjected to something he's not used to. At this point, talking to Death, something interesting too, and it kind of does allude to a Supreme Thanos, a final Thanos, so to speak. Thanos felt someone watching them, and Death was like, yeah, I splintered this moment into a billion possible moments so that we at least have a little time to discuss this. And at this point, we see, like, as Death is discussing all the potential of Thanos and, like, how he serves the bigger picture, it's at least to me, maybe you guys will disagree. It kind of seems to me that it's implied death led him astray, as we see his original love, like her astral form, calling out for Thanos, but she seemed to slowly be fading away. So I definitely say I definitely think you could say that was implied. We then see a pretty funny moment as Thanos goes up against a race that's been gassed up. Like, apparently, this race is a race that's existed for a very long time and used to destroy everybody else. Like, they were the pinnacle of success in war. They were invincible, unbreakable skin, all these things. And apparently, they remembered when Thanos, at one point, wiped out half the universe, had attempted to do so, at least, because it did get reverted. And at that point, they're pissed. So they show up to the bar, and they're like, yo, Thanos, we're here for retribution because you cost a lot. You basically nuked half of a universe. And he was like, actually, it was attempted murder because it didn't technically happen. So this escalates, they get pissed, and he beats the shit out of them. Like, he fucks them up. It was crazy. And when he goes back to the bartender's like, yo, I thought they were unbeatable. Like, I thought they were unbreakable. And he was like, to water, a rock might seem formidable, but I'm a hammer, so fuck those guys. And I was like, okay, Thanos, got the bars. And yeah, he was looking for Nebula, by the way. He's searching for Nebula. He's obviously scheming. And it jumps back in story to Thor. Now, Thor is talking about reality and existence, and he makes an interesting remark. He implies that death and Thanos, he kind of puts them in the same sentence, are chaos. Like, they are the constants of existence. It's death and Thanos, all the shit they're doing. Yet again, implying Thanos is serving a higher purpose than he prior did in normal fashion. Like, there indeed might be Thanos doing some weird shit, right? And he's desperately searching in the files, but some of the files are missing. And he finds out that there's a weird source of inside knowledge. You see, this goes back to, and another reason I put this on the main channel, the black stone that was hinted at years ago when Thor met the Black Winter. This stone's back in play, alright? And I had predicted this. It's basically like an infinity stone. It's some kind of weird stone. And Death at that point is like, yo, Thor, you're looking for that shit? And Thor was like, no, I'm not. Well, yeah, I am. And she was like, yeah, exactly. You are looking for something he sent his boy to do. And he's like, what? And she was like, he sent it with the one that helps him run away from death. So she basically implies Thanos is subconsciously like rejecting death. And she then goes, yeah, Corvus Glaive went after the Black Stone. He's got the info on it. Shit's getting real. And that's how this story ends. Now, real quick, let's talk about some of the implications, right? If this indeed goes back to Roko's Basilisk, this, by far, because it should be just his base, not even if it's its base, even if it's a power-up, this is the strongest Thanos ever. It's the final Thanos. It's above all Thanos ever. So, for it to be that way, for it to be a death beyond even one of the archetypal eldritch beings in the universe, which was Black Winter, who conceives of stuff like Galactus, of that high outer nature, is crazy for this Thanos. If this Thanos does truly exist, maybe they're going to say he's fathered these cosmos, or the next cosmos are his simulation. Maybe he'll give up his power later. We're not sure, because it has extreme potential and power if this Thanos is real. Like, it would be fucking insane. Especially because we know, based on how they're talking about time and space, they're kind of alluding to it, how Doom and Loki spoke about it when God of Stories Loki was popping, right? Like, changing the story, magic can change all stories. It's about to get pretty crazy. I think the stone is some form of like a death stone, as we see death being a constant theme in this story. In like, we've seen like zombified / undead forms of fallen heroes in Thor's nightmares. I could see death being the weird stone. Thanos achieving all things, like all his power-ups, but then maybe he sees he's beyond that. It's going to get really weird. I also think there's a potential, because of her manipulation of him, maybe he does Lady Death dirty later, and she gets replaced with his former love. That'd be an interesting plot twist. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think of Thanos Death Notes. If you have any theories on it, let me know in the comment section down below. Having a lot of fun reading about it. And like I said, check out my comic book coverage over on Coffee Shop Comics as I really start that series. And yeah, I'll be covering this series and many other modern stories over there. So definitely check it out. As well as I do battles over there, scale different cosmologies. It's a lot of fun. And I hope you enjoy both channels. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to discuss this comic book further, comment down below or join my Discord server and talk to me about it in Discord. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been your boy Jobbers and Goons, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.